In my reflective practice sessions for managers who are driving organizational change to advance diversity, equity, and inclusion, I'm often asked how to communicate and promote diversity, equity, and inclusion to others in a non-threatening way. Managers feel caught between the fear of offending someone and the desire to have a meaningful conversation. If you are a manager trying to drive change in your organization to advance diversity, equity, and inclusion in a meaningful and non-threatening way, then you want to watch this video. Today, I'm delving into this issue and sharing with you a few ways to do so successfully. My name is Karanda Ziegler, and I'm an organizational culture strategist and owner of Kalu Consulting. And I empower managers, leaders, and directors just like you to embrace diversity, equity, and inclusion to create workplace cultures where leaders are not afraid, teams are thriving, and employees are engaged. How we enter a conversation informs what we are ultimately able to achieve. In your role as a manager, you've likely encountered the frustration of people wanting to avoid discussions on diversity, equity, and inclusion issues that impact individual employee experiences as well as team effectiveness. And as you strive to promote diversity, equity, and inclusion, the first crucial consideration is context. Without a doubt, you find yourself in different situations on a daily basis in different places. Questions are asked differently, discussions flow differently, and what you say in one space, you may not say in another space. How you behave probably differs from situation to situation. That is, the context differs. Context operating in the background shapes interactions. Context relates to how someone feels, what they think, and even their past experiences with diversity, equity, and inclusion. It also involves acknowledging your own identity and how it influences workplace dynamics, who you are on any given day. You consider context whenever your organization needs to make a major announcement to employees, when you decide to roll out a new initiative or software program. In each of these instances, as a manager, you seek to minimize threat, foster communication that will lessen fear, worry, as well as anxiety. To effectively communicate diversity, equity, and inclusion values, this same forethought is essential. You have to recognize the impact of context on behavior. So consider the environment as well as the timing of your conversation and create a comfortable space where people feel safe to open up. I know that when I'm leaving out the door and someone stops me at work to tell me something, they get a very different response from me than when I'm sitting in my office and I have my door open that signals an invitation for conversation. By you considering context, you're able to consider all the things that might serve as a communication roadblock. You're able to create a comfortable conversation container. And I'm going to talk about creating a good container in part 3 of today's video, so keep watching. So you have to consider context when communicating with others. There's no telling what they have on their mind, what their priorities are, or where they are going next. When approaching any conversation, especially on diversity, equity, and inclusion issues, start by asking, what is the context? This question helps navigate situations where people may resist, feel apprehensive, or view diversity, equity, and inclusion as unrelated to their core job. Even with the appropriate context, people need and want to know what you expect from them. In the realm of diversity, equity, and inclusion, clear communication is paramount, especially in the face of complex and resistant environments. People require a clear pathway and direct communication regarding the change sought. When communicating and promoting diversity, equity, and inclusion, it's essential to acknowledge this complexity and the unclear pathways of those who are unfamiliar with daily injustices. What specific change is expected? What are the behavior gaps? The objective is not to convince or prove a point, but to generate responsiveness, educate, and raise awareness about diversity, equity, and inclusion. It's crucial to avoid making it feel like information's being imposed, fostering an environment that encourages critical thinking and personal commitment. Each time I facilitate a training, I communicate to participants that my aim is to provide you with information that you can think about critically. I share with people that ultimately they have to do the work, make a commitment to diversity, equity, and inclusion, and personally change. That my aim is to educate, provoke thought, and act as a catalyst for change. So reflect on your goals when communicating and promoting about diversity, equity, and inclusion values. Whether it's raising conscious awareness, highlighting organizational inequities, or encouraging the use of inclusive language. For those who are new to embracing diversity, equity, and inclusion, conversations may be challenging to comprehend. And even for those who are already familiar, the context can vary, necessitating different approaches. It's apparent that people want to know their role in enacting necessary changes. In individual coaching sessions with clients, what I hear the most is that many individuals, despite their commitment to diversity, equity, and inclusion, they struggle with where to begin and also how to maintain their efforts. So, understanding what it means to engage in diversity, equity, and inclusion work, it becomes a pivotal question. Thus, it becomes crucial to guide individuals in recognizing what needs to change and identifying their responsibilities in altering oppressive systems. Effective communication about diversity, equity, and inclusion involves providing clarity on outcomes and contributions. When engaging someone on diversity, equity, and inclusion, ensure clarity on the desired change and guide them toward the direction that they need to go. Now, let's talk about creating a good container for the conversation. It's about attending to the processes during communication and promotion of diversity, equity, and inclusion. By paying attention to how things are flowing, you create a non-threatening environment for the conversation. It's like creating a space where it feels like good friends are talking and having a genuine conversation. It's essential to listen first and to comprehend before aiming to be understood. By putting your biases and opinions aside, you can break free from a win-lose mentality and foster a two-way dialogue. You want to create a space where people feel comfortable exploring emotionally and intellectually challenging material. By giving the opportunity to voice their feelings and experiences, you validate their concerns, signaling that divergent perspectives are not just welcomed, but crucial. In a group training I did for city employees, one person stated that the problem isn't with discrimination. Someone just has to be willing to work hard. Instead of quickly trying to prove them wrong, I said calmly and with genuine interest, "It sounds like you have a strong view about this. What has led you to feel this way?" Instead of immediately challenging personal views, elevate the discussion to explore commonly held viewpoints, and this will help shift the focus from the personal to the general. And you assuming responsibility for the conversation is crucial. You approach this person to have the conversation. It's important that you create a container for the conversation to be successful. It won't always be easy, and remember that multiple perspectives can exist at one time. It doesn't mean that they all have the same value or that you have to agree. My grandmother used to say, there are three sides to the truth: yours, theirs, and the truth. You have to learn to not take it personal, that multiple perspectives exist because no two people are the same. Your instinct might be to offer advice and to fix things, but there's power in simply holding space. This is one conversation you want to have of many. And remember, processing does not always happen in the moment. Give individuals time to reflect and allow them to contemplate thoughts before responding and acting. For deeper insights on how to address diversity, equity, and inclusion challenges, be sure to subscribe to my YouTube channel and sign up for my email list. You can find the sign up link below in the description box. And remember, wherever you are and whatever you are doing, you matter.